Yamamoto. Yamamoto is D tier. No, no. I'm so excited. I am so excited because we're going to rank all the fire-wielding characters in Bleach. And you're gonna be surprised because there's so many of them, bro. I thought, when I was making this ranking, I thought there were gonna be like 4. There was like 10 or something like that. So we're gonna have a long and nice video. Grab a cup of coffee and grab a tea. I have my little glass of water. Yeah, pretty good. First of all, I have all my notes here. And what we're gonna do is that we are not going to talk about the movie characters, and we're not going to talk about the filler characters either. And there's a very simple reason for that. And the reason is, they suck. I'm looking at you, character with the weird black arm, who used to be my favorite character when I knew nothing about Bleach. And I loved you, and then I discovered that you were the worst character in this entire anime. I'm looking at you. I didn't even used to know what a filler was until I discovered that you were a filler character. And I'm also not gonna touch Rose either, because basically his Bankai looks like it's using flames, but it's just an illusion, and you could see him using different elements when he's under that Bankai. I'm not gonna put him. And I'm also, that's one that I've seen in so many places, but I'm not gonna put him because Yuichiro, who is Yoruichi's little brother, we saw him using flames for like maybe a second, and then he got clapped. So I'm good. I'm going to rate the characters based on 2 criteria. The first one being purely how powerful they are. And there are different things that come into account when sort of analyzing how powerful a character is, but I'm going to see in terms of raw strength what they can do to beat other characters. So pure power. The second will be how memorable they are. So there are a lot of things that come into account when I'm talking about that. Are they aesthetically pleasing? That's very subjective, but some characters just look much cooler than others. And are much more memorable in that regard. You remember their design, how well they fit into the story. Do their skills fit their design and their character? So, for example, think about Rock Lee in Naruto, right? He's not necessarily the most powerful character, but he is extremely memorable. Like, if you think Naruto, one of the first things you're going to remember is Rock Lee, because he is extremely memorable. So you don't need to be very powerful to be memorable. There are some characters that you will just immediately think of and remember, even though they're not very powerful or they don't have much time given to them, basically. Okay, I'm gonna take this little thing to suck on because my throat hurts a little bit. Nice. First of all, we have Edrad.
Who the f are you?
I'm not gonna lie. I had a very hard time remembering he was in Bleach. Yeah, listen. He was one of the original Arrancar. He came into the human world with Grimjo, and he wasn't really powerful at all. Admittedly, he had some really cool attacks that were quite on a big scale. It was one of the first times in Bleach that you could see an enemy that was that powerful, even though with time it kind of became nothing, obviously. And so I don't really remember anything about him. He's not particularly powerful, but he is memorable for one reason, and it's a bit sad, but that's what makes him memorable. He is very memorable because it's the first, and I believe only time that we've ever seen Ikaku's Bankai. So it's a very memorable moment in Bleach in general, I'd say. Everyone remembers that fight. I mean, most people remember that fight because of that Bankai, which a lot of people dislike. A lot of people think it's potentially the worst Bankai of this entire series. But you might remember him for the wrong reasons, but you'll remember him for that. So You know, yeah, look, he's average in everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and give him a middle ground. You know, he's a no. You know what? I'm gonna give him a D tier. You know, let's start off strong. Let's start off as strong as we can with a D tier. Perfect. Okay, next, who do we got?
Sayonara.
Momo, rest in peace, because she has gone through hell, man. She has gone through the worst. I mean, she was abused, she was bullied, she was the vessel of like the biggest antagonist of this entire series. So, you know, Momo, in all honesty, like if I think about that reasonably, she isn't particularly powerful, yet her powers are not very high. She doesn't really do anything of consequence in terms of beating other people, but there is no denying she is one of the most memorable characters, purely because of all the stuff she went through and because of the sort of mental abuse that went onto her. If you think of the first arcs of Bleach, you're definitely gonna remember Momo, because she was like Aizen's vessel, basically, you know? He manipulated her so hard that you saw the damage that he'd done to her like many chapters and episodes after that. And there was just something so disturbing about the moments where you saw her become crazy and all the damage that had been done to her. She is undeniably memorable, even though it's for the wrong reasons, admittedly. I would put her in A tier, but just because all she's went through, I feel like she deserves it. Honestly, I'm gonna give her S tier, and I'm not going back. Cool. Okay, who do we have next? This is a hard hitter. We have Ichigo's dad, aka the GOAT, aka Ishin Kurosaki. He is easily one of the most memorable characters in this series. He is present at the most important moments of this series. He's always there. Whether it's the first main villain or the second, he's always there. He's always there for the big reveals of the series. He is basically the character who has all the knowledge that is given out throughout the series. He starts off as the memorable sort of comedic relief, goofy dad, which is already in and of itself iconic, and then turns into the extremely serious, sort of brutish, very manly father. And the dichotomy between that and that makes him so memorable. I mean, as soon as you think of Bleach, you are thinking of Ishin Kurosaki, easily. And the thing is with that character is that you don't see much of him at all. But when you see him, it's always so impactful in every sense. Like, for example, do you remember when we saw him fight against Aizen the first time, and he used this cool finger flick and basically put Aizen through something like 3-4 buildings? And just to put that into perspective, before that, Aizen had basically easily defeated most of the characters that we know. Most of the captains, he was much stronger than them. They could do nothing against him. And Ishin just came in and flicked him with a finger. And he, for a second there, displayed an almost godly amount of power. And it was so badass. It was genuinely badass. In terms of how memorable he is, I'll personally argue that he is one of the most memorable characters in this entire series. Easily. Now, in terms of power, it's very arguable. It's very hard to say how powerful he is, just because when he was against Aizen, he easily sort of flicked him with his finger and really came up with a good fight. You know, he did extremely well against Aizen. But when we see flashbacks of him that we've seen recently, You see that he really struggles to beat the Hollow White. He really doesn't do very well against that Hollow at all, who admittedly is much less powerful than Aizen. So it's very difficult to scale that character in terms of strength, but he's absolutely at a captain level. He's absolutely one of the stronger characters in Bleach. And yeah, for all these reasons, my man is a legend. And I am going to put him an easy S tier. I mean, if there was a higher than S tier, SSS plus tier, I'd put him there. I would, you know what? I'm going to go out there and say top 10 Bleach characters. Bam. I said it. I said it. Okay. Next, who do we got? He's one of the newer characters in Bleach, although admittedly, I'm saying newer because we sort of just got him in the series, in the anime, although we've had him in the manga for years. But Bazz-B, in my opinion, is extremely memorable. For a few reasons. If you think about it, he is very reminiscent of one of the earlier, extremely memorable Bleach characters, which is Grimjo, right? If you think about his story, that he is the one who like fought extremely hard to come where he is, but he was overcome by someone who never should have been at the top, in his opinion. You know, this fear of never being able to become as good as you believe you should be. I think is a trait that is very relatable to a lot of people. Despite the hard work, you're never going to achieve it. There's always going to be a sort of jealousy burning inside of you, which is, you know, again, reminiscent of his fiery personality and fire power, if I may say so myself. He's easily, in my opinion, one of the best characters of the beginning of the 1,000-year Blood War arc for many reasons. Firstly, on a purely aesthetic point of view, purely aesthetically, he is extremely memorable for one good reason. So if you think of all these antagonists, they all have these very clean, very well put together white uniforms. And so does he. But even though that is the case, you can see him trying to put a sort of more fashionable, more modern twist on it. He sort of retracts his sleeves, and even though he isn't that very crisp, very serious white uniform, he still finds a way to make it extremely modern. Of course, his mohawk is very memorable, and the cool thing is that his design works perfectly well with his rebellious character and with the nature of his powers, which is using fire. So from a memorable standpoint, he is incredible. He has a very cool backstory, and he has a very cool but simple power and an extremely well put together design. In terms of just scaling and how powerful he is, there's no doubt that he's one of the more powerful characters of the series. I mean, it is said in the manga that he is, it's thanks to him that Yamamoto's flames didn't kill everybody from the get-go, because he was able to sort of deflect them and use his own flames as a protection. So that should tell you something, considering Yamamoto is pretty much the most powerful character, arguably, of this series. And yeah, I mean, he kind of beats Hitsugaya with ease. Admittedly, it's Bankai-less Hitsugaya, so not the most powerful, but still admirable. You know, he's definitely higher than captain level. But ultimately, yeah, he gets defeated by Jugram. I mean, you know, he's one of the more powerful characters in this entire series, so I'm not going to take that away from Bazz-B. He's fantastic. He's memorable in every sense. One of the most memorable characters, even though he doesn't appear very long. And I'm going to give him an S tier. I'm going to put him under Ishin, but over Momo. Because he's amazing. Guys, he is incredible. Okay. Ooh, my beard. I mean, my nun beard is a bit itchy. Probably because the next character kind of sucks. So, our next character is Bambieta she's also one of the newer characters. We haven't seen much of her in the anime, although we, of course, know everything about her in the manga. Listen. I know a lot of people like her, so maybe this is a bit controversial, but I don't know, she's just kind of lame, you know? In terms of pure power, she's definitely up there. I mean, she's definitely higher than captain level. She beat Kamamura and Shinji, so she is very powerful. Although, after she dies, she gets turned into a zombie and is massively nerfed, like ridiculously nerfed. But in her living form, she is very powerful. And is she memorable? Ish. Okay, she's ish. Her design, in my opinion, is very bland. There is nothing memorable about it. She just kind of looks like a young girl with brown hair, brown eyes, and there's not really a detail out there that makes you think about her. You'd be very hard pressed to tell me how she looks like, because there's nothing really particular about the aesthetic and the design. But in terms of her power, even though you might at first glance think it's kind of boring because it's just based on explosions, it does kind of fit the Quincy theme very well, because rather than just exploding and just touching an object and exploding, her power is actually something that collects energy, Reiatsu, and as soon as it touches an object, makes it explode. So it's a very cool take, a very fitting take on the explosive / fire power. And yeah, it's original. It's a good take on it. And although it's not, mind-blowing, it's pretty cool. They did something quite cool with her, which is very unusual for a Bleach character, which is they took her from a very energetic, naive, almost childish character to this very hyper-sexualized dark character, which created kind of a very strong contrast, and which is very dark and unusual for Bleach. So that was quite memorable. That was very dark. Even for Bleach, that was pretty intense. So, I will not remember this character. I'm gonna give her a C tier. Honestly, she's kind of lame. I'm sorry, she's kind of lame. Okay, guys. Everyone saw it coming, and just because of that, I'm gonna take a glass of water because I feel like this character deserves it. Oof. Are you guys ready for that heat? Yamamoto. Yamamoto is bae. Yamamoto is bae. He is undoubtedly, if not the most powerful character in Bleach, although I do think he is. I think he is one of the most powerful characters in Bleach. And this is very easy to prove. There is no need for fancy calculations and stuff like that. You can just look at the fact that the two main antagonists of Bleach brought with them characters that were specifically brought to stop Yamamoto. They were some of the smartest antagonists, arguably the smartest antagonists of the series, and they created characters just to stop him. So that just shows you how powerful he is. In the recent anime, we saw his Bankai and how powerful and versatile it was. Not only is it the ultimate offense, but it is also the ultimate defense, and all of the 4 stages of the Bankai are so iconic and so different. In terms of power, he is undeniably top of the characters in this series. One thing I'll say about Yamamoto that's terrifying, but also what makes this character extremely cool, is that even though he very rarely appears, it's kind of like an Ishin Kurosaki type deal where you're always looking forward to his next appearance because every time he is in the fight, or even when he speaks, you know shit is gonna go down. One of the things I thought about recently is that he is genuinely the Dumbledore of Bleach. Yamamoto is genuinely the Dumbledore of Bleach. I mean, think about it. Everyone fears him. Everyone is scared of the dude. He is the most powerful, and you never see him. And every time you see him, he kicks ass. He kicks major ass. Okay? Evil characters always come up with ways to counter him, to go around him. So, in that sense, he is like genuinely the Dumbledore of Bleach. Yeah, guys. So listen, I'm not gonna lie. D tier. No, no, he's not. He's not a D tier. Yeah, he's genuinely, I think, one of my personal favorite characters. I'm gonna put him in easy S tier. You know what? He should have a tier of his own. He should be an S plus heat tier. Look, guys. In terms of all the remaining characters that I can think of, I'm gonna put him here. One arm guy. Yorichi's brother. Filler character. I mean, movie character, and Rose, who no one really cares about. Sorry. No, he's a cool character, but no one cares. Listen, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. Do remember to like, to subscribe. And yeah, I really hope you watched the video until now, because if you did, you deserve to be one of these S tier characters. You're as good as Momo. No, you're not. You're so much. No, I hope, genuinely, from me to you, I hope you're doing better than Momo. Okay? I'll see you next time.